I said, what we're trying to do is pull the best part of a social network together, the best part of a whirlpool-type problem-solving platform, and the best part of a product review together, all integrated in one platform for the end users. And he said, I love it. He said, I'm in. He said...
No, that was it.
Yeah,
I said, not much twisting of the arm.
Well, we didn't really think it through because we had a great idea. We had a five-slide power presentation. We had no money.
In terms of getting that really important safety information directly to the hands of the end user, we saw a gap in that, and particularly around equipment. Equipment's one of the biggest risks, right, on a mine site. So just being able to have something where if there's a recall or some issue on a piece of equipment or there's an incident, an accident in the industry that is relevant, to be able to just post that direct to someone's hand, relevant to the area of mining that they work in, we think that's a huge value proposition for the end user. And the readership and the sort of thing that we're seeing at the moment is that's one of the things people really like.
Welcome to the Beers with a Miner podcast. My name is Mad Mumzie and I've been driving the huge dump trucks in Australian open cut mines for over 10 years now. I wish I had $1 for everyone who said to me, how does a little thing like you drive those big trucks? You must be rich. How do I get a job doing that? My mining friends are asked these questions all the time too. This is what started the Mad Mumzie journey to share stories and tips from living a mining lifestyle and to let others know what it's really like. Tune in each episode as I sit down for a relaxed chat, usually over a few beers, with a fellow miner. Women and blokes with various experience, roles and opinions share their lessons and stories with you. Not everyone is cut out to be a miner, but why not? What does it take to thrive and survive in this industry? Now, let's dig in. Get it? Dig? Mining? Crack me up. Hello and welcome to Beers with a Miner podcast. I am Mad Mumzie. This is episode 91. Today I am having a bit of a wedgie episode. I know the last one I shared the first recordings from my archives from past recordings that have not been released yet anywhere, and from about 5 years ago. So if you haven't listened to that, head back to episode 90, all about water carts and overcoming fear, and all passionate and in the heart of the moment, to hear them back when I recorded them is just not the same as repeating the passion that came with it. But today I am sharing with you a happy hour episode with the co-founders of the Torqn app, Torqn. It is freaking amazing. I have been in on this for a while now, and it was so good to finally catch up with Troy McDonald and Brett Baker. And you are about to meet them from this chat that we had, and why they started the app, what the app does, and how can it help us if we're an operator, which was something that I was a bit, because it's, if you don't know, where you been, right? It's about mining, not just mining, machinery in general at this point, and people can interact about what they think about the machine and any troubles that they're having and how to fix them. It's like they explain it so much better than I am. I told them that I will have already shared an amazing intro all about it. However, I feel like by listening to them share what it is and who they are and why they've done it, it will take you to so many different levels of it. My couple of piddly words here, yes, they'll help should you keep listening. And my answer is yes. And the best part about the app, well, I don't know that it's the best part, but a lot of apps, it's free to join, free to download the app, and then there's in-app purchases. But for us, it's free. They do have some ideas, as you will hear, for some corporate sort of upscaling, upselling, and all of that. But it's not about that. And that's what I really am so happy that I heard that from them, because to see and hear their vision of where they are going with this app, like, yes, it's machinery and, for me, mining machinery, but they're also looking at agriculture and defence and, these guys are just full on. They're so full on. And they were both underground miners. They've come from the background of being undergrounders. And I've had a few underground people on, and so it's good to meet some more, because they just have a different outlook on life. No, I'm only joking. They're real miners, right? I'll be really honest with you. And to Troy and Brett, I felt intimidated a little bit, because I don't do corporate level very well. But as soon as I found out, they were like us. They were miners, getting out their family background of miners, and they're just great people. And we chilled out, had a beer. That's why I love having a drink with them. It helps me to relax. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. But for the guests as well, have a couple or not, have a cup of tea, whatever. It just takes the edge off a bit. And I really liked how they kept bringing it back. Yes, they have all these visions about the app and everything, but I really liked that they kept bringing it back to my world, my audience, which is you, right? And what we can get out of it, and the future vision of it, and how we can all engage. And get on it. Head to the show notes, madmumzie.com/beers91. Heading to the ton, heading to 100. And you can see in the show notes there, and if you click on the link, it will help you to download the app, or just search for it in the App Store. Torqn. And it's just freaking amazing. So I was driving home tonight for inspiration for this intro. I was listening to my last episode about the water car, and I realised that the first snippet that I shared, the first story of my archives, was about the Caterpillar F series water car, and it was an extract from a live webinar that I did, and I had pictures and everything, and so I was describing bits about the water car, and I thought, I'm going to have to go into Torqn and see if it's on there, and I will. I'm going to do that now. I should do that before I release it, but I bet it's on there. And if it's not, it'll be coming, because they've got a team of people who are researching and getting all the information there. And if you're a fitter especially, get on this shit, right? And if you're an operator, get on it too. They've got wild pictures and all the information that you want. You can ask questions. And finally, before we actually get to listen to the conversation, I do want to say that they also have safety alerts, and they can, when you sign up for free in the app, you say what area you are in, and it'll bring safety alerts up for your area. And you create your own little, I had a word for it, I can't remember what it is. You'll hear it when you listen to the episode, but it was a loop. Oh, I did remember. Hang on, I have a drink. You create your own loop, and in that loop are all the machines you're interested in, and you can change it, you can update it, you can go, I'm driving Komatsus now, not cats. I don't care what's happening with cats, machines. Or you can come back to it. And then the beauty is it's global, and so you can hear and see and connect from people all around the world who are doing it all inside the app, who are operating them, who are fixing them. The actual manufacturers want to know, the stuff that we need to get fixed. What is shit about this machine? And if people are saying it in Africa, and they're saying it in Canada, and they're saying it in Australia, and all the other beautiful mining places around the world, they're going to sit up and listen, right? So that is my invitation to you. Sit back, grab yourself your favourite bev, and listen to this episode with Troy McDonald and Brett Baker from the Torqn app, Torqn, and you can bloody download it while you're listening. Have a mooch around. It's so cool. And wait until you hear the future visions of it. So it won't just be what we're operating at work. It can be, spoiler alert, it could be for all your toys as well, right? What sort of car are you driving? You got a farm? You got a machine? You got a tractor? And you have all that in your loop. Oh my God, I love it. And you can't find a part, and you take a picture and you put it up there and you go, what the hell does this bit do? Get on it, listen to this, get the app. Love it, highly recommend it. And I'll talk to you again at the end. Let's dig in. Get it? Dig. Mining. Ha ha ha. That cracked me up. Oh, and before we dig in, I forgot to say, especially for my newbies, or if you are still a wannabe and haven't got your start in mining, make sure you listen to the end where I hit them up about some of the other questions I like to ask people along the lines of night shift and rosters and how do they sleep when they're on night shift, during the day. So it's really good to hear that. Here, I really enjoyed watching them reflect back to what it was like when they were in mining and, working underground on the rosters and their favourite parts about it. So it was a good, fun end, but also I really believe it's helpful. So I'll be taking some snippets out of that and adding into my start date course as well. All right, let's go. Hello and welcome to the Beers with a Miner podcast, episode 91. I am Mad Mumzie, and today I am chatting with Brett Baker and Troy McDonald, co-founders of the Torqn app. Geez, I haven't had a threesome since the one with two underground fellas in my donga many episodes back. Of course, come on now. I mean a talking threesome, but seriously, welcome guys. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
By the time this goes live, I have already shared how freaking awesome you both are. So if you're ready, let's dig in. Get it? Dig? Mining?
Love it.
Crack me up. All right, we'll start off with the most important question, which is, as this podcast is called the Beers with a Miner podcast, I like to start these happy hour episodes with my guests sharing their favourite beverage and also their favourite time to enjoy it. It could be a beer, wine, spirit, or perhaps even a cup of tea. What is yours? We'll start with you, Brett.
Well, I go through phases, and right now I'm on a Guinness phase for some reason.
Oh.
So yeah. I'm indulging right now, actually.
Beautiful. We're sticking to the rules. That's what I said. Bring your bev. And what's your most favourite time to enjoy a Guinness?
Only days that end in Y. No, like in the evening. after putting the kids to bed is usually that's the time.
Lovely. That is a good time. It's such a rewarding time, isn't it? But they're not asleep yet, so you can't quite it's not all totally done.
Yeah, you've got to be quiet.
How old are your kids, Brett?
5 and 2.5.
Oh, lovely. What a great age.
Yeah, it is a good age.
Yeah.
They're full of energy.
It is. Yeah, for sure. You got to keep up with them.
Yeah.
And Troy, what about you? What is your favourite beverage and your best time you enjoy drinking it?
My favourite beverage is Cooper's Pale Ale. I'm a little bit different to Brett. I enjoy to have a meal as well. He seems to be able to have his Guinness and offset the meal. So I drink a lighter beer than Brett. Cooper's Pale Ale is mine. And most enjoyable time to drink a beer is normally I'm unlike Brett. I normally have to have a beer before I actually cook dinner for the kids and put them to bed because it makes it too hard if I don't have one before.
It's a good time. I actually used to like to have a red wine while I was preparing dinner. I am a beer drinker, but that was my favourite time for a red wine. But I've given up the red wine this year, and that's why I drink my beer when I'm home in a wine glass.
That's
because I miss the act of the wine glass. What was that?
That's a small wine glass to have a beer in.
I'm only little. It's a two. I get pretty much 2 glasses to a can of beer. I'm a can drinker, and Carlton Mid-Strength is my beer of choice, or a Forex Gold. But usually I'm gone more the reds now.
I thought you'd be a great Northern girl being from Mackay.
Yeah, but I was here before Great Northern, so I've kind of kept my exactly. But also I find it hard to get the cans, only the stubbies, and I definitely prefer cans because, as you'll hear later when I open my other one that I've got sitting here, I love the sound, the ka-ch, that's my favourite sound. But I don't mind the Great Northern Zero.
I haven't tried that.
So
really?
I'll have that. Yes. If you ever have to have a zero beer, that's the best one. I quite enjoy that because then I can still have beer. But because if you want to cut down and I don't want to have what am I going to have, a red cordial or a lemonade or, let's have a beer, but it's got no alcohol in it. Go me.
And you can drive.
But today this is real. This is a real one. All right, let's get into your story. So I'd like to hear from each of you, I guess, how you connected to mining and what you do now. And then we'll go into how did the app start and then what's it all about. But if I could just find a bit out about each of you, about your story and what it is that you do in mining, and are any of you underground, so-called real miners, or I'll start with you again, Brett.
Okay. I kind of I didn't really fall into mining. My dad been in mining his whole career. We came out from England, so he was underground longwall mining in England, and came out here, and we moved to Lithgow. He got a job there and worked at Clarence Colliery for many years. But when it ended up closing down, he went up north in Queensland. I went off to uni and everything, and at some point after uni, I sort of was complaining about not having any money, and Dad said, "Well, why don't you come up here?" And it was it was booming in the Bowen Basin at that time, and he said, they need young, fit guys, and just come up and earn some money and then leave, and set yourself up. That was the plan. So he got up there and was lucky to get a job, and basically just putting bolts in the roof, underground mining, shoveling belt roads, and was an excuse to work out almost. So doing that sort of work for a while, and then ended up doing supervising and ended up doing a bit of project managing, and then, went on from there and got into health and safety type areas after a few years. And then ended up getting a job down here at Dendrobium Coal in Wollongong when it was in a project phase, which is where I met Troy again, because to be honest, we grew up in the same town, but we barely, I don't think we ever crossed paths. He was a year ahead of me. So,
oh, wow.
And we lived about 3 kilometres apart.
Yeah. And I don't think we ever actually had a conversation. But I think I knew of Troy, but not. I never met him. We grew up in Lithgow. But then, at the Dendrobium project, we sort of worked there for a few years, and then I went into the broader Illawarra Coal in the training area and looked a lot at the training system across Illawarra Coal, which is where Troy and I ended up doing a lot of stuff together, because he came up with a bunch of good ideas to sort of standardise things and said, "Can you do this for me?" So I ended up doing a lot of projects that Troy thought were good, and some of them went really well. So I think that's why he ended up calling me afterwards. So I think that's the quick story. I left Illawarra Coal in 2013 and started setting up indoor activity entertainment centres. So I had a climbing gym, trampoline park, laser tag centre, escape rooms. We did a skate park with another partner. But so that was the other thing that I sort of got into after getting out of mining. Until Troy rang me about 2 years ago with this idea.
What from being an underground miner to and a safety weirdo at that in the end. Yeah, right. A loving term of endearment, as my sister says. Yes, she's allowed to call them that because she is one, But then to get into the trampolining and did you say escape rooms?
Yeah, escape rooms, yeah. Yeah, because so I bought the trampoline park. The local rock climbing gym, and it was a great little business, but it wasn't really enough to sort of pay a full-time wage. And then I was looking for something else that would be similar, would be kind of like it, and that was where I came across trampoline parks back when there was only one other or two other trampoline parks in the country. And we put one here in Wollongong, and it went really well. So I was able to leave the job and start setting up just fun businesses like that with a business partner. That was really fun for a long time. I still have the climbing gym and the laser tag.
I just wrote down. Are you still doing it? Yeah. So you scale back from that, and you're focusing more on the Torqn stuff now, or have you gone into another whole area I don't even know about?
No, I'm full time on Torqn and have been for maybe 12 months, I think. We worked sort of for free for the first 12 months, and then I was able to start doing this full time after, and I've got really good people, luckily, at the trampoline park, so at the climbing gym and the laser tag, and so they take care of things, and leave me the freedom to mess around on crazy startups.
Yeah. So you like startups then? Bit of an
entrepreneur. Yeah, I really enjoy. Yeah, I really enjoy the building a business. I think it's a creative exercise. It's like some people paint pictures, and I really enjoy the building the business and start getting the products right and marketing it, and then I don't want to work there afterwards. I barely even want to go there, but put the systems in, get the people trained, and then let it run, and I'm on to the next one, which I think is why Troy gave me a call when he had this idea.
And I'll get on to you, Troy, but it sounds like, how long you're going to be off in a minute on to the next venture, or are you planning on sticking with it, or you've just got a bit of a time frame in the promoting processes?
Well, I mean, with when you start a trampoline park or a climbing gym or something like that, there's a definite finite endpoint when it's running, like that's it. It becomes business as usual, and that's kind of having done that many times, and especially they're very limited by geography. There's only 300,000 people in Wollongong, so you get to a certain level of business and it's running, and that's it. It's kind of, it has that limit. I was actually really looking for something that had much bigger scale, a global reach. I was toying with a couple of other businesses like that, online training and that sort of thing, but nothing really exciting. The thing about Torqn that's exciting is the scale is phenomenal. So I can't see getting bored with it in the near future. Because I'm sure we'll get into where we think it could go and the industries we would like to. We think that there's value to be had if we can get the app into those industries. That there's heaps of value it can add. I think that there's plenty of exciting work for a long time.
Yeah, I can definitely see the way that it could go. So much, but we'll get to that. But this is also good for all of my people, my newbies, my wannabes, and my old timers, because you need to have also a bit of a think about what your escape plan is after mining, or even what you want, your little side hustle that you're doing on your week off or whatever, because it's good. It's good to have that, and if you're working and you've got some money behind you, and you can do that's what happened with me. I paid out and did all the training and learnt how to do all the websites and all the things for what I'm doing now. So it's good to, what is it the entrepreneur side. I'm a bit of an entrepreneur too, so have a think about what it is. What do you like doing, and what could be next? Because you never know, mining can just stop. We've all seen the downturns as well, and they're trying to move away from it, but it's not going to happen real fast, that's for sure. Coal ain't going anywhere in a hurry. But anyway, that's another whole podcast.
Yeah, it goes up and down, and but I mean, it's any industry. Especially these days, things change so quickly with technology and all the rest of it. And I think job security is a bit of an illusion, really. But much better to work for yourself.
That's right. And as families change, and you soon get sick of, as I say here in my region, going over the hill. I just wanted to be home every day. I just wanted to come home, have a beer, walk around my garden. And I try to say, this is why I left mining. Every day I do that. Yeah. So we'll get on to you now, Troy. Tell us all about your mining journey, your story.
Well, I was born in a place called Lithgow, which is very close to where Brett we moved to. So I was born and raised there. I grew up on 1,000 acres, halfway in between Lithgow and Oban, a place actually called Good Forest. So I grew up with a farming background. My grandfather, sort of 3 generations of McDonald's in the area that we grew up. But my dad was a farmer, a miner as well. So he had the farm as a sideline, and he worked for a number of the mines in the Western coalfields out there in the early days, from sort of early 70s. He was working right through till he retired. He retired when he was 63 and then died of cancer at 65. So unfortunately, Dad didn't make it through. But I guess I came from that salt of the earth, down to earth miner, because my father was a tradesman all his life. He was a fitter, and he worked on basically most of the mining equipment in the underground coal sector. So I had an interesting upbringing. I wasn't walking up and down the main street of Lithgow. We had motorbikes, we had buggies. I think my first driving lesson was on a Massey Ferguson tractor where my father was ploughing the paddock, and he had a little seat sitting on the side of if you remember the old Massey Ferguson tractors that had the big guards on the side, he had a seat mounted there where we could sit as kids. And I think I was only about 10, might have been 11. And he said, you can steer, hop in the seat and steer. And it was the one with the old hand throttle on it that you actually set the speed. And I was driving around for about 10 minutes, and he said, I'm going down to the house now. And I said, I don't know how to pull it up. He said, you don't have to. He said, we've got 130 acres to do. And he said, it's going to run out of petrol before you need to get off it. Then I went through schooling in Lithgow. So I went to Lithgow Primary and Lithgow High School. Then at the end of high school, my dad, as you do in a small mining community, my dad got one of his mates to line me up an apprenticeship as an electrician. Then I really thought, well, do I want to be an electrician in a mine for the rest of my life? So I ended up coming to university in Wollongong and doing engineering. During that time, I worked in a number of mines. So I did get a scholarship with the CFMEU through my university at the time, and I worked in a couple of mines in Western New South Wales. Then I graduated, and I went in as a graduate engineer into the BHP mines it was back then when they still had the steelworks. As a graduate engineer, so basically they put me in the darkest, coldest, wettest place they could find, and then pretended I didn't exist because I was a graduate, and then I had to find my way out. I learned
straight out of uni. Chuck him down there, yeah.
Chuck him down the back, give him the worst, shittiest job you can find, and we'll see if he crawls out. I think was the turning point for me was when we got flooded. We had a serious inflow. When I say serious inflow, I don't mean dangerous in regards to health and safety of people, but in terms of risk to the mine, we had a huge inflow of water, and they didn't have any idea how to pump water. And I went in, I think I worked about 2 months straight setting up different dewatering systems, and we basically dewatered the mine and saved it. And then I went through and I ended up being the manager of mechanical engineering at that mine. And then I went over as a project manager and engineering manager at Dendrobium mine when we built that. Then pretty quick after that, I moved into a general manager of projects and engineering. So I looked after all the engineering and major projects for the group. And then at 37, our current president at the time said he was going to retire, and he said, I'm going to recommend you take over the job as president for the underground business here in Illawarra. So at 37, that was a pretty daunting task to get handed the reins for pretty close to 2,000 FTEs and a $1 billion revenue business. And I did that for about 5 years. Then I did some work with when South 32 demerged from BHP back in 2016. I did a lot of work in helping out with that in terms of separation. And then after that, they offered me a job in a different role, which was in overseas in Colombia. Then I spoke to my wife for about 3 seconds and said, well, it's time for me to move on. So I moved on in 2016, and I joined a smaller project management and engineering company, which we do a lot across the resources sector now. And then we got that running reasonably well. And I was watching how people have a lack of information across all our customers. And I was watching a poor farmer, it was actually. He was up in the Narrabri area and he bought a new tractor. I won't go into which brand it was, but it had a problem and he couldn't plough his paddocks. It was a $2 million tractor. He tried to get a solution to his problem for his tractor, and the distributor said it was an isolated issue, hadn't heard of it before. And then he went to one of the media publications who did a search for him globally, and it was a systemic issue on that piece of equipment worldwide. So as soon as that news article ran, his tractor was fixed in a matter of days. And it made me realise that some of the people who operate and maintain this equipment are not necessarily having a voice, and they can't actually share not only the problems that they've got and how to fix them, but actually some great ideas that come off the ground floor. And you'll probably know this firsthand, people who operate and maintain the equipment most of the time got the best ideas about how to fix particularly some of the smaller issues, but also how to design the bigger issues, but they don't have a voice. Then I rang Brett up.
Yeah.
I've got an idea, mate. And he said, what is it? And I said, come and have a chat. So I sat up pretty late one night and did a small presentation. I ran him through it. And first thing he said, I had the original name of Torqn was, I needed something, so I called it Faceplant because it's a similar social media platform to Facebook. So I said, I've got to start this company up called Faceplant. And he goes, you can't call it that, Troy. So he said, don't worry about the name. I said, think about the concept. And I said, what we're trying to do is pull the best part of a social network together, the best part of a whirlpool-type problem-solving platform, and the best part of a product review together, all integrated in one platform for the end users. And he said, I love it. He said, I'm in. He said...
No, that was it.
Yeah, I
said,
not
much twisting of the arm.
Well, we didn't really think it through because we had a great idea. We had a five-slide power presentation. We had no money. So anyway, we sat down and worked through it all. And Brett and I we threw some money in ourselves to get. We had to get a prototype done, and we got the prototype done, and we started testing the market with it. And everyone said, "I love it." Then Brett, and I said to Brett, what do you reckon? He said, we're going to need a shitload of money, Troy. He said, you're not going to build this without serious investment. So then in it was May 2021, we went out and did a capital raise, and now we did the development, we're live. So that's, I guess, the short story.
And so many things. Because the app is free, isn't it, to use?
That's correct. Yeah.
And is there any in-app purchases?
Not
for the users?
Like
you only get 10 comments and then you've got to cough up money, or you can't, because like most apps, right?
Yeah. I guess one of our overarching principles was that for people to be able to have a voice, it needs to be free and available. So the general free subscription model is something that we started out to develop from day one. Down the track, we've got other thoughts in terms of how we can provide a premium subscription so they can create their own different functionality in groups that can communicate direct messaging and all that, but that's probably about 6 to 12 months off. The main revenue model for this is through the data analytics. So, for example, if we've got even 5% of the people worldwide that drive 793 dump trucks posting and comments on platform, I guarantee the manufacturers will want the information that's coming out of our platform. So we'll develop insights, analytics packages that they can subscribe to, so they'll be able to get the innovations that are trending, the safety issues, the problems that are trending, in quite a granular format, so they can make the business decisions on it.
And that's what I thought, that's how you're able to do it, is with the manufacturers wanting to connect with so many people, get their feedback, but also if people are researching and they want to buy that machine, like if so it's also a way to promote the machines on there. If they see that there's been all good feedback and stuff as well, is that
absolutely
another way?
There's a fair few things that we've got in the product. We've got really a 3-year product roadmap, and I guess the next one is develop the company accounts and what we're calling Torqn Enterprise. So even though we are in the mining sector, the way we've developed the platform, we can scale that out into any sector with equipment. So, for example, the sector, they won't want an app like ours available publicly, so we can actually build a Torqn Enterprise solution that can be used where companies do want that more closed environment, so they share only across the people in their business. So there's several other ways that we've got in the development roadmap. Some of them too public at the moment, but there's a number of things we're working on at the moment that we plan to develop over the next sort of 6 to 9 months.
You're welcome to, any worldwide exposés or whatever.
Yeah.
Exclusives is the word I was thinking. On Mad Mumzie podcast, you heard it here for the first time. I just really love the because I do basic websites and everything, but yours is insane. When you go on your website and the app itself, it's just so beautiful to use. I just love it, and I use a shit ton of stuff of apps, and I'm always squirrel. There's a new thing to go and play with. Go down that rabbit hole and use that new software or whatever, and I just love it. I love everything about it, and I also love and is that recently new, the safety alerts?
Yeah,
I've just noticed them.
One of the things we've always said that we wanted to include in there is safety alerts from both regulators and from manufacturers. So, and Troy will speak to this as well. We've both worked on mine sites where, maybe on a morning meeting, the shift supervisor might stand up and drone out some safety information that you barely pay attention to, and maybe it's relevant, maybe it's not. But the idea with this, but sometimes the regulator releases a safety alert. It's getting emailed to the mine manager, who maybe they're on holidays, or maybe it just they're really busy and they just miss it, that sort of thing. So there's in terms of getting that really important safety information directly to the hands of the end user, we saw a gap in that, and particularly around equipment. Equipment's one of the biggest risks, right, on a mine site. So just being able to have something where if there's a recall or some issue on a piece of equipment, or there's an accident in the industry that is relevant, to be able to just post that direct to someone's hand, relevant to the area of mining that they work in, we think that's a huge value proposition for the end user. And the readership and the sort of thing that we're seeing at the moment is that's one of the things people really like.
And I also love that as an operator, we have to rely on that trickle down effect. Email from manufacturer to manager to safety department to crew to us. Were we awake? Were we listening? Did they even read it? Or here's a thing, we stuck it up on the board. Oh, a sign, we don't look at them. There's a notice. Oh, big deal, another notice. What's in that? And then and a classic example is when we have a pre-start and they say, right now that ramp is closed. This is just a very basic example. Ramp 22 is now closed. So when you go down into the pit to get in your trucks and pick up the other operators, do your hot seat, whatever, you have to go down ramp 24. Everyone jumps in light vehicle, gets to ramp 22. Oh, it's just bloody closed. What's going on? Mate, they just talked about it for 10 minutes. You're half asleep, or you don't care, or you don't listen, or you whatever, all of the above. So as an operator and as a fitter and, all the other people in the industry working on the machines or using them, to be able to follow the machines that you actually operate and then see globally what's coming up, we could be the ones that are in the meeting say, hey, have you heard anything about the brakes are failing if you don't get this done? And we haven't, we've been saying this needs servicing for whatever, Yeah. But very basic, Mad Mumzie way of putting it. But I can see it as being a way that we can see inside it as well and have a bit of control and bring it up ourselves or follow it up, or just know, when it's an operating thing as well.
And the other, I guess there's a bit of sophistication in terms of the data in the platform, but when you signed up, you probably remember actually putting your location in there. So every user on platform geolocated worldwide. So if there's a recall or if there's a legislation update in, for example, Queensland, Australia, the regulator can post that notification only into the area that regulation is relevant. Likewise, if there's a manufacturer who's got a product recall on a loader, a 988 loader, he can post that notice against that loader and it'll go to everyone that's got that in their loop. So our motto is target and specific and relevant to the end user, so they're not getting bombarded with all the shit they do on the other platforms.
I love that. And I have operated a 988 loader.
Yeah.
Imagine,
yeah. Yeah.
And I think at 972, is that another one?
Yeah, that's another one.
Blue one, 988. And then what was the next one? 996? No.
992.
992. Yes, I was going to be trained on that, but I left. And the same with the graders. I was on the H and the M's, and they were the 16s, and I was going to go on the 24s. Oh, and I was so looking forward to driving, because for my listeners, a 24M grader, for example, Caterpillar, the blade is 24 foot.
It's a great photo.
That's
I don't know.
how they.
You should have a look at.
Oh, I love it. I have not got enough photos of graders for my marketing.
I'll send you one while we're talking.
Only the back.
Actually, a fantastic post from someone in northern Canada on 24 grader today. And that,
Oh, wow.
Amazing sunset that he's posted. Yeah, one of the most beautiful mining photos I've ever seen.
Wow. Oh, yes. Well, thank you. I'll share that in the show notes. And the show notes for this episode will be madmumzie.com/beers91. So everything we're talking about will be in there. And you can go to that while you're listening to us as well. So as you're listening, look in your app and look at the picture that I will put in there when I, do all my magic.
That's great.
And that is the other thing that is good about the app. It's not just typing in comments. You can add a picture, you can write a comment, and you can also do a video, can't you? Yeah. They're nodding. For the people listening, they're nodding.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, on that, Troy's probably got more stories about this, but I remember when I was a safety weirdo at Illawarra Coal, I think 3 times there were 3 different platforms that came out that were collaboration platforms, that the department tried to encourage us to use. And, you had to try to log on to them, and then you had to do training on them first to figure out how to use them, and then you had to log in, and then you had to remember what the address was to try to do it, and it was just it was so clunky, and sit there and type something out, not know if anyone ever reads it. No one ever did it, and they always just fell over. So that was one of the sort of key principles with this platform. And I think one of the things that Troy realised is people they're so used to sharing information this way that they're on social media.
Yeah.
They're using it every day. Facebook and Instagram have spent billions of dollars training everyone for us. We're very grateful. But and that's the idea is it's very familiar. You don't need any training. But instead of being cat photos, it's like stuff that's going to help you do your job.
It's proper cat, like Caterpillar. Look at me with my cat hat on, they're my favourite.
Yeah.
I'm a cat girl. Sorry, I interrupted. I told you I'd interrupt.
I use the old Dyson vacuum cleaner analogy. If you want to go and buy a Dyson vacuum cleaner, you can go online and you can find thousands of people who have reviewed it, and there's product reviews, there's pros, there's cons. You go and buy a multi-million-dollar piece of mining equipment and you Google it up and it's almost crickets, like there's very little information available across the industrial sector from people who operate and maintain it, who are the people who actually know best about what the performance of the gear is and what the issues are. So that's what we're trying to fix.
I love it. And it's the little tweaks as well. We were just, funnily enough, having a beer after work today. And I was telling the guys at work that, you know, who I'm interviewing tonight and all that. And the old fella there, I don't think he'll listen to this. Oh, it doesn't matter. He's old. He's nearly 70. He's still working, loves it. But he was having trouble with his mower, and he must have Googled it, and he found one fella who said, no, it has to be, and there's things that are way over my head, but I hear them talking about things like dead center, things that have to be dead center on top, but plus 16 something or others. It's like, why not just make it that? And so he found a fella, and he ran through and he said, now, if you want to get this motor running properly, this is what you have to do. And you had to have it set at this setting and this and that. And this, wherever he was watching it, was saying, they don't tell you that. You won't find that anywhere, but I've worked on them forever, and this is what you have to do. And he's very mechanical, this fella. He's like, I'm gonna go and do it, and that'll work. And I said, that's exactly the sort of thing that this Torqn app is talking about, you know.
Yeah. Well, the actual company name is very deliberate. Torqn.
I'm glad you said that. I hoped it was, because I love it.
Yeah.
It's interesting, you know, like you talk about the little things that can make a big difference. There was a person posted onto the platform, it was like 4 or 5 weeks ago now, and you'd be probably able to comment on this firsthand, is that the mirror settings on the large dump trucks in the open cuts need a tool to actually change the setting in terms of whether they suit the operator or not. And they have to call the tradesman out between the shifts if they've got a smaller woman, and which is becoming more prominent now in the mining industry. And he posted on there some new mirrors he's designed, which is a joystick controlled. So no one has to come out. Whoever sits in the seat can adjust the mirrors automatically. And then it sort of started to gain momentum, saying, I didn't even know these were available. Is that? And I don't know about the mirrors on the trucks, but that's something you could probably comment on.
Mate, you can see me. I'm like screaming over here. That's amazing. That's what you need, because the amount of times, and there's so many different mirror styles, and the older models will have 2 mirrors. So they'll have a smaller one and then another one on top, or the bigger ones now have one big one that's nearly as big as me. But if it just needs moving, like me, I have to pull the seat all the way in so my feet can reach the pedals, and then I have to have my seat pretty high so I can see over the dash. So everyone has a different setting, which sucks when you have to hot seat, because you got to get it, you know, someone's been in your truck and you're like, oh, now I'm going to take 3 laps to get it back right. But with the mirrors, they're so important when you're backing in under the digger, when you're backing up to the dozer at the dump and everything. And if it's skew whiff, and the worst is when, because, you know, it's not a beautiful road out there. It can get rough as guts. And so you're backing in and you've got a mirror that isn't lined up properly and it's wobbling like this.
Yeah.
And you've got to get in the exact right spot next to that exact rock. It's like, hang on a minute, and just my eyes are tripping out here. And to get that fixed, you've got to call the workshop. You've got to put your truck down if they ever even show up. And then you might only be in it for a couple of hours. And then someone else will get in it and go, I need someone to come and change this mirror, because they can't see, because it's designed for me. So I love that idea.
Crazy.
It needs to be it would need to be pretty hardy to be able to, because it's the way the the brackets used to come undone. I thought you were going to say that we all need a shifter in the truck to get out and do our own brackets up, but we weren't allowed to do stuff like that anyway.
Yeah, I won't.
It's not our department. We're not passed out on a shifter.
Yeah, I'm not going to go down rabbit hole.
You know,
But I guess
well, if you do it the wrong way and it falls off.
The point I make is that there's so many great innovations out there, but a lot of people don't know about them, and a lot of these small issues can be engineered out that solve problems for the operators and maintainers, but they just don't know about them. Another example from someone who's been on platform lately has designed a load sensing seat out of the US, and they're trying to come into the Australian market. So it's not the standard suspension seat that's designed for a P50 sort of mid-range person. It's actually load sensors who's in the seat, and it actually auto adjusts, and it sets the dampening ratios on the capacity of the person in the seat. So if you're a smaller man or woman that's 45 or 50 kilos, of which I haven't been since I was about 10, then it'll actually auto adjust your settings. So they're posting some information about the products that they've developed in the American market that potentially could make a big difference in the Australian market. We just don't know about it.
And that's also, as an operator, a huge thing is your seat. And knowing where the magic button is to make it go up and down, and then because I'm having flashbacks now of getting out, opening the door, basically having to lay down on the floor, to find in the cat trucks I'm talking, to find there's some lever thing to make it bounce less or more. So a heavy person will have it and it's bouncing like the crazy, and it's it'll bottom out sometimes, and that's bad for your back. Yeah. But the ergonomics of it, and if they're not in there, with you, they think, oh yeah, you can adjust that, but you can't see it. You can't even find it half the time. It's like, I can't find it. I have to physically get out, and where is it? Because all the different models, and you drive so many different models and everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks for the flashback.
That's all right.
What else did I want to cover? So when it comes to the pictures of the machines, how do you go about with the permission to use those pictures from the manufacturers and everything?
So it's not such an issue from the manufacturer's perspective, because the company actually buys the equipment off the manufacturer, and they basically got rights to that. There's two things in relation to this. Is we've got terms and conditions for use of platforms. So people sign up to the terms and conditions, aren't allowed to, we get them to acknowledge that they aren't allowed to publish commercially sensitive information that their company might hold. So, for example, if you work for one of the large major miners and there's some commercially sensitive information, we've got that covered off in our terms and conditions. And I guess from an information perspective, there's no difference in our platform than what's already available in the market. So there's nothing stopping someone going and posting a picture on LinkedIn or Facebook about that equipment either. But what the companies do is they do business codes of conduct. So they train their people quite well now in terms of what they can and can't do in relation to information that's publicly displayed. And we have acknowledged it, and that's why we're developing Torqn Enterprise. So if they do want to be able to share safety issues and that they want to maintain within their company, that's in development, which will be released later in the year. So I think we're in a reasonably good place with that.
I think that's that enterprise side of it. I can really see that, how valuable that could be. Like, for that mine site, you're actually allowed to take a photo of the grader on the dump, and this is what's happening, and it's stuff like that, and how they can all interact with each other.
The other thing you'll be able to do with Torqn Enterprise is you'll be able to share, like, take a large mining company, for example, that's got multiple sites in multiple parts of the world. You'll be able to set up, for example, a 793 users group, and everyone worldwide who actually operates, maintains, or works on that dump truck can be connected automatically. So if you've got an issue in Australia or a problem, you can share it within your organisation anywhere in the world. I cut you off, Brett, then, sorry.
Yeah, what I was the other thing I was going to say though is it just because it is something that people sort of say, oh, how do you go? Like, can I don't know if I can post about this problem or that problem, and so one of the things we're doing with the app itself is putting training within it to help people understand what how not to get in trouble, basically. So. Yeah, if you're taking a photo of an alternator and a pulley and something like that, and you're not identifying the machine, and you're saying, "Hey, I've got a problem with this, and this screw is shearing," or whatever it might be. I mean, most of our the people that we've talked to about this were senior execs in mining companies, and they sort of saying, "Oh yeah, that like we would never care." That's a great thing. It's more if you say, you post a picture of the something that's broken and you say, oh, the long wall's down. It's going to be 12 months before we get this going again. Hope no one's got shares in this company. Yeah, that's going to cause an issue. So it's just about being sensible and reasonable, probably making sure that if you're taking photos of things that you're not identifying what it is, identifying the site or the company, but from most of the senior execs that we talked to were saying the value outweighs the risk. The value of collaboration far outweighs the risk of somebody going, oh, that's such and such a site.
Yeah, I remember also if someone did do that, there's been multiple cases that I've both been part of and witnessed whereby people have posted stuff publicly. They actually, it's a discipline issue for the person. They don't say to someone, you got to go and shut down your personal LinkedIn account or your Facebook account, because when they sign their employment contract or they come on board as a subcontractor, it may be, everyone's trained in what they expected to do in relation to information. So I think in the mining sector, it's an issue. But if you move into the agriculture sector, which we plan to do, for example, those issues aren't as relevant because the farmers own the tractor and the farmers operate the tractor, so they haven't got the big corporation that has regulations around what they can and can't do with this stuff.
Yeah. And obviously, and like you say, with the discipline side of it, for my listeners, if you didn't know, like part of what all the inductions and everything that you'll go through, they now have social media policies.
Correct.
And, what you can and can't do. And then it's, are you even allowed to have a phone? So on site. So if you're not even meant to have a phone and you're posting photos, but they are the sort of things that you should already know. So the people who are taking the photos, like fitters and all of them, most of them have phones anyway when they're out in the pit and stuff, because they've got to be able to get on and do all the things. So, and different sites, it's a matter of your side as well. But the discipline side of it is, they can't shut down your LinkedIn post, but they could fire you if you do the wrong thing. So, and what I love is that you get the choice of you can make a comment. So you can see a picture and you can make a comment. You don't have to take another picture, but it's good that it's upfront in your terms and conditions when you sign up and all of that as well. And it's also good that you've spoken to mine execs about it, because that was a big part of me. I just found a letter that I wrote to one of the big Bowen Basin peeps. All I wanted was a photo of me in front of a 797 that I was officially allowed to use for all of this. Never got it. And then I went home to that other place I was telling you about, and they let me take my camera on site, and I got photos of me with the water card and me with trucks. They were smaller trucks that I won't say what sort because that would say. But and then what I did was I took the company logo off in Photoshop and then sent that through, and I got official approval to be able to use all of those photos. And in fact, they gave me a USB full of heaps of other photos that I had full permission to use in all of my courses and everything. And so that was great. But I was only yesterday or day before where I was thinking, and I gave that letter to this supervisor, that supervisor, anyone I could at that site, and they loved everything that I was doing. But no one could officially say, yeah, you can have a photo with a truck that you can use. It was a joke, you know. So, but it's real. It's a big thing, and I don't want my peeps getting fired for taking photos they shouldn't. So it's a good lesson for that.
Yeah, we acknowledge that coming from, I guess, a large mining company background. That was one of the things that we flagged up very early in the piece. It is different in other sectors, like I said. So the platform we've designed is about open, transparent communication of information, and the companies will deal with the confidentiality issues the way they do with other social platforms. But we think there's a huge value opportunity here for them to have a Torqn enterprise solution where they still see all the external stuff come in. So they'll still get the safety regulations, the product alerts. They'll still see everything from other parts of the world that's coming in, but they will be able to control what is released publicly from their employees.
Yeah, that's huge. And so what other industries are you thinking of moving into? You mentioned agriculture.
We're working on
yes.
So that's
a big one.
The next sector that we go into will be construction, because most of the equipment that's used in the mining sector is pretty consistent in the construction sector, and they're all the same colour. The demographic of the construction industry is very similar to mining. You know, they're big, heavy, yellow pieces of equipment. So that'll be next. That's probably in the next 3 or 4 months. Then we've got a decision to take whether we go into agriculture or aviation or defence. It'll really just depend on the market pull for it at the moment. There's a big pull from the agriculture sector. I think, Brett, we're getting hits on our website saying, when are you coming into agriculture? When are you coming into agriculture? But when you go into agriculture, it's not like the mining sector where there's a lot of the same piece of equipment everywhere in the world. From sort of 4 or 5 major manufacturers. I think we got 3,800 pieces of equipment on platform now. In the agriculture sector, you're probably talking more like 50 to 60,000 pieces of equipment we need to configure. And that's a big job. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're working on it.
And who does that come down to? Do you I saw on your website you've got a team of people and who are doing all that sort of stuff, uploading all the machines and the information, and you guys don't do that till midnight or anything, do you? No.
Got to check it, unfortunately, which is and setting up the loop, like trying to set up the loops that in a way that makes sense, so that when someone subscribes into what we call their loop, which is their area of work. So it might be, mining, underground, coal, and then development and longwall, or something like that, making sure that what then they see in their news feed is the information relevant to those pieces of equipment that are relevant to that area, and not, surface mining excavators and drag lines and that sort of thing. They're seeing underground, longwall, and development equipment. They can all, and then for them to be able to go and add whatever they want. But someone in the back, in the sort of admin side, has got to sit there and say, that goes here, here, and here. And that's a big job. And we're still working on that.
It's a big job.
The vision for the product is, I'll give you a very, I guess, blue sky view of where I think this will go, is that if you're working on mobile equipment in the iron ore sector in Western Australia, you set up your loop profile that way and you'll see all the equipment in your area. But if you've got a jet ski, you've got a caravan, you've got a Ford Ranger, and you're like four-wheel driving, plus you've got 4 or 5 other pieces of kit outside the mining sector, you'll be able to go and search them up and pull them into your loop. So you've got a very customised set of equipment that's for you personally. So once we get all the other sectors configured, you'll be able to go and if you're I use the example. I work on the longwall in an underground coal mine, but I've also got a Ford Ranger. I got a caravan I like.
Farmer.
I got a jet ski, and I've also got a little farm that I've got a Massey Ferguson tractor. You'll be able to search all that equipment up independently and then bring that into your loop. So your loop's not only what we've configured, it's stuff that you can bring into it.
I love that. How you can really personalize it.
Yeah.
It's good. Right. I told you that I would swear, but I'm going to say it's fucking brilliant. That's what it is. Right? Thanks. Drop the mic. It's so good. I love it. I really do. And it's just so professional to use as well. And there's always new machines coming on all the time. I noticed today that when you go in, that might have been I think that was on the website, where there's this scrolling numbers of all the machines that are on there, the users that are on there, and how it's grown. That's on the website, isn't it?
It's growing so quickly.
Real fast,
every day I get 2 or 3 emails of people requesting equipment to be added to the database, which, so we've got like a couple of people who are just basically getting pictures together and information together and uploading equipment so that people can then start posting reviews or comments or whatever they want to post against their equipment.
And this is not just Australian companies. Like these are companies from the US. I think one was mining equipment manufacturer in Germany. So they're all over the world now.
Mm.
And like you said before about the best mining picture you've ever seen, I can't wait to see that. The grader. Where was that from? That was overseas, wasn't it?
I haven't got your mobile number, but I can actually SMS you that post and I'll take you straight back into it.
Oh, the post on the app.
Yeah, if I don't know.
Yes.
You don't
so you can share a post off.
You can SMS a post to anybody, yeah.
Ah, stop it. I didn't know that. Did I know that? I don't know if I knew that.
If you put
you know what it is time for? You know, that's a beer moment, that is. Did Mad Mumzie know that? I don't know. Hang on a sec. Here's my favourite sound in the world.
I will send you the picture of that. If you put your phone number in the comment section, I'll demonstrate how quick and flexible it is. I'll actually text you. So I've just sent you an SMS out of the platform that'll give you an SMS notification. Check out this post.
Check out this post about operating the 16 motor grader on Torqn. And now I click on that. Oh, yes.
But what you can do is you can click on a post and you can SMS a post to anyone. Yeah.
Yes. So like my old mate who was talking about, well, pretend it wasn't a mower, it was his tractor.
Yeah.
Until you've got mowers. I got off of it. And I could say, hang on a minute, I'll have a look in my Torqn app, and then I'll send him a message and say, go there and have a look at that, because they're talking about this.
Yes, you just have a look at in your main feed on your home screen. There's next to the equipment, there's actually 3 dots on the right-hand side.
Of the link that you sent me, or just on the home screen?
Back in the application on the home screen. If you're just back in the main feed on the home screen.
Oh, yep. I am. That's where I am.
I can't really see it. But next, it'll have a piece of equipment.
It's got just any piece of equipment.
Yeah, any bit of equipment.
Right, yes, sorry, I'm with you. I was still at the top. So 302 excavator, Caterpillar. If I click on those 3 dots, share, review, report or remove equipment from my loop. Yeah.
So you can send that via email, you can send it via text, you can send it.
Yeah, all the usual ones. Yeah. Facebook Messenger, all the things. I love that. And what I liked then too is also remove from my loop.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't operate those anymore. I'm onto these trucks now or whatever, or I've left
Yeah.
mine. I'm back at my cane farm.
Yeah, no, if you remove it from your loop, then you won't see any pictures or feed come up on it.
That's it. But you can always go and find it again later because you can just search for a machine, can't you?
Yeah, you just go back and
You can search and add it.
Yeah.
You search for it, then you add it to your loop.
Yeah. So the idea
so
is for you to be able to completely customize it to what you want to see.
And I do want to tell you what let's go Torqn, what my loop consists of. Hang on a minute. Where's the app gone? I need to find the whole app. There we go. My loop is mining, surface mining, coal, mobile equipment, production.
Yeah. I can see what loop you're in, because if I go to your profile and you just hit about, you can see what loop people are sitting within. So if you click any person's picture that's commented,
yeah.
If you just click over their picture, it'll take you into their profile. And if you go about,
this guy's, yeah, this person is from Texas, USA.
Yeah. So you can see where they are.
Comments and about. Yeah, they got the same: mining, surface mining, iron ore, mobile equipment. And you can see their comments and any posts.
That's it. So the whole idea is you're connected to people by the equipment that you use rather than who you know. So you don't have to spend 5 years trying to build a network. You just say, I use that bit of gear, and you're instantly connected globally to everyone else who uses that bit of gear. So
and it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you're operating a machine or fixing a machine, it's still the same shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you if you move industries, or let's say, for example, you moved out of surface mobile equipment into drill and blast, you can go and change your user profile in the platform, and it'll automatically connect you to everybody in the drill and blast community worldwide now.
Ah, really? Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you just sort of swap your network.
But stinking drillers, why would you want to be connected to them? They're like safety weirdos. It's all right. My listeners know that. I always call them that. I have many driller listeners. Hello, Rick. No, it's so good. It's so good. So you said, Brett, that you're working on it full time. Are you full time too, Troy?
No, I just do it because Brett and the team are set up pretty well now. I'm still working in the engineering business. I'm just moonlighting at the moment. So I mainly do all the commercial stuff, and Brett and the team do all the product development and marketing. I can't really add much because I don't know anything about marketing. That's Brett's forte, and I'm not a tech guy. I just come up with a crazy idea that everyone backed me on.
And then say, now make it go.
That's it. Make it work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Troy's he's more like Steve Jobs. His concepts and ideas and the network. The network effect is constantly out, sort of talking to people and emailing Elon Musk and Richard Branson and everyone and anyone. But it's like you couldn't ask for more from founder, really, because he just getting the story out there and letting everyone know about it. And so we're getting attention from all over the place at the moment.
Yeah. And whoever's doing your TikTok is doing a great job too. That's how I found you, on TikTok through Mitch on mining. But it's always in my feed, and and it's fun, and it's like they're onto it. Whoever's doing that.
Have you seen the latest?
Kudos
have you seen the latest mining boom cartoon we've done? I'll have to send you a copy of that.
Oh, right. Is that on TikTok?
I think it's
probably
on.
on everything.
I don't think we've put off TikTok yet. I think it's on Facebook at the moment. It's going
Okay.
out on Facebook. Yeah, it's
Yes, you can send that
the
to
guys.
me.
The guys at Mining Boom do great commercials. We sort of work with them to come up with a concept, and it's the cartoon characters, Deep Fried and a bunch of other guys. So if you haven't seen Mining Boom, check that out.
I have, and I did see one show up on something today, and I'm like, oh, that's that mob, but I haven't had time to. So it's probably, is it about you guys or about the app?
Yeah, we've got a few like two different skits that are kind of showcasing, how you like what the app's about, really, with a bit of humour built in, which people really seem to like. It's strange that, miners liking a bit of humour.
Oh, right. We're hilarious. Just ask us. We'll tell you. So is there anything else that you want to talk about? Talking, that's the new thing now, talking. About the app that we haven't covered before I go into a couple of other sort of bit more light-hearted questions, just before we start to wrap up a bit? What do you reckon?
I don't think there's much that we have not covered. I think just in closing, like Brett and I, like just in terms of the application itself, I've actually designed it for the end users. So it was great to hear your comments about how simple it was to use and how attractive the app was, because we spent the last 12 months designing it. Not for the company. It's not the actual app is not designed for a company. It's not designed for a manufacturer. It's designed for the end user to get the information they need and want in their job, fundamentally. And the other stuff that'll happen is going to be outside the application. So I think that was really, really rewarding for us to hear you say that it's actually hit that mark.
Because the other thing, we gave the example of the end user getting the information from, first like a safety alert or something like that, sort of going through that chain to try to get down. The other way is true too. You get someone who works on the machine every day and says, why have they done this like this? It should be over here, and it's a great idea, right? So they tell their supervisor. Supervisor goes, oh yeah, I'll let the rep know next time they're here, and the rep turns up and it doesn't get mentioned, and so that it just never changes. I think Troy was talking about it before about having a voice. Someone could, if someone is working on a piece of equipment and then posts a photo and says, "This is ridiculous! Like you've put this bolt here, and now it means we've got to undo all this just to change a filter." What are you thinking, Kat? And then everyone gets on there and says, yeah, what are you thinking, Kat? Next thing you know, Kat's going to be redesigning that piece of equipment. Because so it's kind of that's the like two-way value proposition we kind of think is important. And
absolutely. And it's globally. It's not just from your mine or from Queensland. They're saying it in Texas. They're saying it in Canada. They're saying it in Africa. Like, fix this shit.
That's it.
That's funny, actually, because we did have that exact scenario where someone posted a problem, and I think they were in I think they're in Australia, and then someone from Lithuania helped them out, and that's something that I don't know. It's a little bit like that. That there's just people who are just they just help, and they get satisfaction out of helping out someone else, and then someone that person gets a lot of value out of it. And these platforms, particularly, I like to bang on about this one. Social media is it gets a really bad rap because it's although there's lots of benefits, it's introduced a lot of problems, right? So we were looking at it going, yeah, but what about if we could just use it for good? And
exactly.
So you've got this platform which is it's like a social media platform. It's very familiar. It's very easy to use. It's bright and shiny and works the way a social media platform works. But it's just purely focused on helping people do their job better. And so that's where we sort of like trying to use it, turn it around a bit, I think.
And also safer, like with those safety alerts and to see, you know, the incidents that have happened. And I just read that last one about in South Australia, inside that thing that was not good. And because it tells you what it is and it takes you to the resource that tells you, that has the full story, but it's a respected, like this was the South Australian Safety Bulletin people, you know, like it's not just fake news or anything. I feel like I can go in here and believe it, you know.
Yeah,
believe it.
We wanted to make we definitely have that as a kind of a key differentiator for that type of post. For a safety alert, it's either by a regulator or an issue from a manufacturer. It's not, you know, because there's news all the time of accidents and incidents in the mining industry, but a lot of the time they're a news report, and there's you know what it's like. There's often a lot of speculation. So I'm not saying that we won't have those. Yeah.
So I don't believe it till I see it on the ABC. When it's on the ABC, then I believe it. Then I'll share it. Sorry, I cut you off then, Brett. What were you saying?
No. It's well, I was just saying that's what we're using that safety alert function for. So yeah, like you say, that you know it's kind of coming from a reliable source.
Now for a word from our sponsor, Julia Hartman and the Bantax Accounting Group. Julia's my awesome accountant. She's written 2 books with financial expert Noel Whittaker, and she's got a passion to help us miners make the most out of our hard-earned cash. She's got heaps of tips and make sure that we get every cent we are meant to get, and is right on the ball with everything. If you head to bantax.com.au/miners, that's BANTACS, you can download a free booklet all just for us miners. And there's also a spreadsheet in there that helps you check off what tools you have for your trade, like your isolation lock, work boots, 7 shirts, all of these sorts of things, and you can weigh them up and it'll tell you if you qualify weight-wise to claim your trips out to work. And that's just one of the things that they've got over there. So I strongly urge you to head to bantax.com.au/miners and see what they can do and find your nearest office as we come up to tax time. They're really on the ball, know what's going on with the tax department, and there's heaps of other free information like property investing. If you really plan on doing some great things with your money, you want to do that, right? If you want to sell your house, can save a lot of money if you find out what to do first rather than in hindsight. And Julia, she'll, you know, make sure you get it right. And if you do it wrong and then go and see her, she'll up you in the nicest possible way, because she really cares about us and wants us to keep our money and not give it to the tax department. Anyway, head over to bantax.com.au/miners and tell them Mad Mumzie sent you. Right. Are you ready for a couple of other, as we start to wrap up, questions? Probably maybe going back to your actual mining life, because of, you know, these sorts of things help my peeps. So I just got to find where it is. Well, I know one of them. What has been your favourite roster when you were working in the mines? We'll start with you, Brett. Oh, and why?
Sorry, did you say the most favourite roster?
Yes.
Well,
and which ones have you done? Because you've probably done a few.
Yeah. Well, I could tell. Like, I've got lots of least favourites.
Okay, let's go with that.
my
we'll narrow it down.
Yeah, I think my least favourite roster was I started at Kestrel, and they've got a conveyor drift, and it's about 1 kilometre long, and it's constantly throwing coal off onto, and it's a dolly car that runs by the side of the conveyor drift. So there's a main drift, but it's the conveyor drift. So it's constantly throwing coal off. And my job when I started was we hosed the under the belt and the conveyor and the tracks and everything, with, just on 12-hour night shifts because it was quiet. And they had this thing called the nut picker, which is just a conveyor belt that was shaped like that. And then you hosed it on the bottom and it threw the coal back on the belt and out again. And so you sit there, like, it's freezing cold, obviously, and you just on a hose and hosing the belt underneath the belt, and the coal's going up, back on. And then as it's going past you, half of it's flying back off and hitting you again. And the roster was like 6 12s and 1 day off on night shift. So that was my introduction to mining. And there was many a night when I was questioning my choice when I first started.
As many of us do. But six days on and 1 off, and then do six. And then did you end up having a longer break at any time in that, or was that just the whole roster, 6 and 1?
I did that probably for the first 3 months that I was there, because the idea was when I started, you had to have 3 months underground, that you were a clean skin, you had to be accompanied, and then you could work unaccompanied after 3 months, I think, underground. So they basically just shoved you in the drift, hose in the drift for 3 months because you were useless. And then after the 3 months of doing that, you were suddenly competent to walk around by yourself. But
you've never been yet because you were in the other bits.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You discover some funny things, like you can sit down, your 1-inch hose. Like 1-inch hose, the water pressure in the 1-inch hose, if you bend it up like this and you turn it on, you can lean on it and it will support your body weight.
Oh, wow. It would too. Like holding a water blaster and it goes.
Yeah. So you could just basically gently rock backwards and forwards like this,
on night shift. I'm with you.
On night shift.
I'm going to sleep.
It's quite the experience. So that was probably my least favourite roster to start, yeah. But, I did some of the mine rosters, which were, 3 days, 2 nights, then 3 off, then 2 days, 2 nights, then 4 off. And to be honest, they're quite difficult rosters, I reckon, changing around.
You don't know if you're Arthur or Martha, do you?
Yeah.
You just,
and you have your pajama
am I having
days.
breakfast or I'm having a beer?
Yeah.
I don't know. What day is it?
Yeah. It's I think it is better to be on a shift. That's my choice. Anyway, I'm sure Troy's done more rosters than me.
Yeah, well, look at what he'd done, and then he at 37 they asked him to run the show. I thought you had to be 50 by then with all those things you just sprouted off that you'd done.
Well, I've had a pretty tough life, so they probably thought I was 50 in the way that I look.
He's ready for senior management now.
He looks like he's ready for that. He looks about 50, so we'll give him a crack. They didn't actually know I was 37, I don't think. My favourite swing shift, I was on that straight out. One come out the inaugural induction period when I was a graduate and went on shift at Wonga Willie Mine. It's called a Laura. It was called a Laura back then. And that was 5-day, 7-hour shifts, and it was 6:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. So they were 7-hour shifts, 5 days a week. So the swing shift, you'd be home in bed by 2 o'clock, you'd get up by 9 o'clock, and you didn't have to go back to work till 6:30. And the best part about that mine was the 7-hour shift, there was about an hour's travel time in the dolly car, like Brett said. So not only would you get to work at 6:30, you could hop in the dolly car and have like an hour's sleep on the way in. You'd go to work for a couple of hours, then go and have a crib break, and then you work for a couple more hours, then spend an hour travelling back out. So you used to be able to pull off about 2 hours sleep during that shift.
That's gold. And you've had your hours sleep, so you've forgotten everything they've told you in the pre-start meeting by the time you get down there, like we were talking about at the start.
Yeah. Well, everyone, I think half the people were asleep before the pre-start, actually.
Yeah. Oh, so was that your favourite or?
That was my
That's
favourite
just-
roster. Yeah, that it was pretty good. The only part was the Friday evening was the shittiest part because I was only young at the time and I was living with a couple of mates and coming off 1,000 acres and moving into a big metropolitan city like Wollongong where there's things outside work to entertain you. Friday night was a bit of a killer because you didn't get out till 2 o'clock. But the rest of the week was great. You basically had 9 hours of daylight to go and do what you wanted.
Yeah. Oh, that's gold. Now, what about your old PPE, all your high-vis shirts? So what do you do with them, Brett? Do you wear them fishing or I'm not mining so I don't wear my shirts or good for the garden? What are your thoughts on it?
I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of where they ended up. It's been what 10 years plus now since I left Illawarra Coal, so I'm pretty sure two of them are in the dress up box, and the kids like to put but my kids are little, so it's pretty hilarious. They do a lot of tripping over when they try to put them on. But they certainly do love putting on I've got the hard hats and the helmets that they rock around in those. I must admit, I'm being an ex-safety person and having seen way too many incidents. I'm the person who wears the safety glasses mowing the lawn. So.
Well, no, and understandable because you know the consequences. So
I got a really good one for this. I got a really good one
all
for
right,
this.
go Troy. Troy's chiming in.
I'm a bit of an habitual cleaner and throwing shit out when I don't need it. And then when we moved from Dendro, when we moved from BHP into when we were part of BHP, we went to BHP Billiton, and we went from. Remember the days when you used to have the dark blues, and then you have this is the underground, then you had the reflective stripes, and they moved to the yellow. Because of the visibility issues with the darker clothing. We had to throw our old clothing set out and we got the new ones which had the yellow shirts and the different reflective strips on them. I went through my cupboard and I cleaned mine all out and I took them to the Salvation Army. They got one of those drop off all your shit boxes and I dropped all my old PPE off. 3 months later, I was at Dapto Markets, which is sort of one of those markets where people go and sell jam tins full of rusted pop rivets. And I was walking around the market. There was a guy that had a clothes stall and he had my shirt there trying to sell it.
No, had your name on it.
Had my name on it.
Because they all have your name on.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
A Troy Dendrobium, mine, and he was trying to sell it at the Dapto Markets.
Oh my God, that's hilarious, isn't it? Oh,
I hope you bought it.
And because I forget that underground too. A lot of did you have your clothes washed and then it was they don't come out home as much as with us with the open cart, do they? Or back then they didn't do your washing.
Not back then. It was every man for himself. And I remember having to buy. I was living with a few people at the time, and I ended up having to buy another washing machine because every time you wash your underground gear, you'd leave a residue of black dust in there for the next 3 days. So we had an apartment. I had to put a new washing. I had to go and buy a backup washing machine in the shed to wash all my gear in.
Yeah. Well, and I'd believe it too. And I've got a whole episode about laundry etiquette and things that go on in the laundry. And it's funny how they had some of the washing machines actually had signs on saying dirty clothes only. It's like, well, aren't they all for dirty clothes? But they were for the real dirty clothes, like the fitters.
Well, I think that's one of the...
What the fuck? What does that mean? Dirty clothes only? They're having us on.
I think that's one of the one of the most valuable things is when the mining companies, some used to do it, but most of them do it now. When they moved to providing a laundry service, it was gold. You just don't want to be washing that stuff yourself.
Yeah, it's
especially underground. Yeah. We had to do. I think there's some open cut that probably do it. Maybe in WA, I don't know of any over here, but underground mostly do.
Yeah.
So yes, and you got any tips, especially for my newbies who've just started and wannabes who haven't had quite, don't know what they're in for yet, which is why they listen to me. Any tips on sleeping when you're on night shift? Not when you're at work, when you're at home and you're meant to be sleeping, or when you
black out the windows.
Yeah.
But one of the things I really struggled with was being able to sleep during the day when I was on those back shifts for a while. And if you basically just black out the window so there's just zero light, it made it a lot easier for me. Just black cardboard. Take that cardboard to the windows.
Yep. And what about you, Brett? How did you go? Could you sleep?
Yeah, I've always been a pretty good sleeper. But sometimes falling asleep could be a problem. Actually, I only did this lately after listening to, a bunch of stuff. But melatonin is pretty handy if you just need to, it helps you go to sleep. It's not like a sleeping tablet or something, but one of the big problems with, melatonin is like, it's on a cycle and so it's supposed to rise in the evening and then fall down, but it helps you go to sleep. So if you then, you swap shifts, your melatonin is rising in the evening. That's the thing that helps you go to sleep. So you're trying to go to sleep first thing in the morning, but your body's full of cortisol because it's used to waking up and you can't go to sleep. So, even though you're dog tired, you can't initiate sleep. And sometimes a melatonin supplement can help there.
So there's supplement. Is there a melatonin?
Well, you can get it in a spray, like a mouth spray or something like that. And
I didn't know that.
A couple of sprays and just enough to sort of help your body go, it's time for sleep and to go to sleep because you're already tired, right? But it's just that you can't initiate sleep because of the funny hormone. Your hormones are all out of whack. Anyway, there's lots of information about that online.
And your time clock.
Yeah. Just for all your readers too. Just for all your readers too. Brett's not qualified at all to make any recommendations of medical advice. So we recommend you seek your own personal support in that regard.
And Troy, we have listeners, not readers, on a podcast. But I'll transcribe it, and then it will be for my readers as well.
Yeah. Well, the GPT-4 could probably strip it out and create a summary of this in about 3 seconds at the moment once you put it online. So that's a bit scary.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, that's right. It's all. Let's not even go down the AI, or unless you want to.
We'll stay clear of that.
That's another whole podcast. I am aware of your time, so the final question is, what is your special place? I'll start with you, Brett. What is your special place when life turns to shit? How do you personally handle tough times? What are your strategies to hang out in there? Like, what's your happy place?
I exercise a bit. So, to be honest, if I'm having a tough time, I tend to... I want to go out and like run around or ride a bike or something like that. That's sort of if I'm feeling. But I ride a motorbike as well. I find that's very therapeutic.
What sort of motorbike? I grew up racing mini bikes.
We've got a couple.
Dirt bikes.
We've got a Ducati Sport Classic and a Triumph Scrambler. So,
Triumph Scrambler. Wow.
Yeah, it's like a big dirt bike.
Yeah, because Trumpies didn't have dirt bikes. Like when my dad, and it's called a scrambler, is it? Because back in the day they were scrambles, and then it changed to motocross. But
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so these are kind of they're retro inspired bikes based on the original scramblers of
the Honda Elsinore.
All those sorts of things. Yeah, they're styled like those things with the high pipes, and they're they're what turned into dirt bikes, I guess.
Right.
But
yeah, exactly.
They're amazing
2-stroke
bikes.
Or 4-stroke?
4.
4. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, Troy. What do you do when life turns to shit? What's your happy place?
Yes, 2 parts. I like going fishing, actually. So fishing's one of my great hobbies. So usually, if it's during the week, I'll normally go and throw a line down at the beach and see if I can't hook something down there. But in terms of managing stress at work, if I get stressed, I usually work harder so that the stress actually goes away rather than worrying about it. So, Brett and I had a couple of presentations last week, and
that sounds wrong on so many levels, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that's how you get to be president.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he is who he is. where
yeah. Oh, it's the same as anything, though, really. Like if I got a project on at home, like if I'm building something or doing something, then I normally throw myself out at 150%. But I think in terms of downtime for me, it's probably fishing is probably the best. I enjoy time with the kids. I've got a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old as well, but that can be as hectic as work sometimes. So sometimes you just need a bit of time on your own.
Yeah, that's an interesting age too. Yeah, I didn't get to ask you if you had kids. I remember when my daughter was 11, her teacher sent a note home to all the parents and said, "Love your 11-year-old, for they will only be 11 once."
Yeah.
Because it was it was grade 7, I think, down in South Australia, or grade 6 or 7, and it was and all the girls were like turning into little bitches, which was the beginning of, the rest of the teenage years that come. It was the first sign. I'll never forget that from the teacher. It was gold.
And now they can bitch 24/7 because they got these things in their phones, these things in their hands called phones that they can bitch all the time now. Whereas back when we were at school, you go to the schoolyard and you'd leave it behind.
That's it. There was none of that, not even for my kids, because they didn't have phones or anything either. My kids are in their 30s, so it's a whole different world. But my grandkids, 4 or 5 years old, sitting there. My mum yesterday on Mother's Day was saying, because we were trying to read the bottom of a plate. Is that Royal Dalton? I think it is Royal Dalton. I've got a Royal Dalton plate. I was so impressed. But I had to take a photo of the logo so I could zoom in to read it properly. And she said, do you know, I won't say his name, but my grandson told my mum, Nan, just take a photo of it and zoom it in. And he was 4.
Wow.
Well,
these people that are coming through, mate, it's crazy.
Well, I took my son. I had to go to the bakery the other day, and my son said, "I'll come with you." And we drove up. There's a little food workshop just up around the corner from where I live, and they've got one of the old phone booths where you had to go and put your 30 cents in and pick it up and dial the number. Or if you're overseas, you'd have to ring up your parents and see if they'd accept your reverse call charge. My son goes. Aiden goes to me, Brady goes, "What's that thing?" I said, "That's a telephone." And he said, "Geez, you're stupid, Dad." He said, "Your telephone's in the console."
Oh, my God. Oh,
didn't believe me. It was a telephone.
And there's still our phones in there, and they're free now, I think, because it was cheaper to make it free than everyone breaking in trying to take the money. And then there was the card thing, because I like the ABC because I'm old Nana. And Macca on a Sunday morning loves it when people ring from a phone box anywhere in Australia, and they say, I'm out the front of the bakery and I saw a phone box. I thought I'd give you a bell on a Sunday morning. But I did, you talking about marketing and all that. Telstra, look where they all are. They're prime positions, and that's why they're keeping them, because they're billboards, they're advertising that they wouldn't be allowed to put anywhere in the city, just randomly go and put up a sign. I heard that ages ago. It's like real estate that we drive past all the time with all the Telstra logos all over it as well. So there's that.
There you
go. All right, I'm going to shut up now. I think it's time to say goodbye. We could chat all day, and I have been known to. But before we go, is there anything either of you would like to say to call this episode complete for you?
Get talking.
Oh, that's gold. Drop the mic right there. I love it. Get talking. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Brett. Thanks, Troy.
Thanks very much for reaching out and having us on. It's been a really pleasure to talk to you.
Beautiful. And I thank you for coming on. And we had a couple of hiccups actually making it happen, but we got there in the end. And I will leave all the links to everything about Torqn, Torqn. Download the app. That's your first call to action. But the show notes will be madmumzie.com/beers91, the number 91, and everything will be there. And until next time, stay safe, be real, be special, and have fun, for we only live once. Cheers.